I'm Veronica Marshall at the Capitol. This week on Senate Spotlight, how do you feel about compromise at the Capitol?
Honestly, we're all probably trying to accomplish very similar things, just in a different way. And so it's a helpful reminder, and I see a lot of value in that when we're up here in the legislature.
More details about the caucus dedicated to collaborating across the aisle. And this year is an election year, and we have a valuable voting guide you've probably never heard of.
You can go back to any bill that might have been important to you, whether it passed or failed. You can see what they voted.
Plus, the Capitol's paintings and sculptures are more than just decorations.
Paintings that talk about freedom and justice and courage, and you have virtues that talk about honesty and truth. And so these are things that you want your elected officials to carry through in their everyday proceedings.
How art can influence legislators. That's all coming up.
Senate Spotlight is produced by the Minnesota Senate and Senate Media Services.
A near tie in the Senate means senators should be working across the aisle to pass legislation, especially since this is a bonding year and an infrastructure bill needs a 2/3 majority vote to pass. And while it may seem like political divides are widening, there is at least one place where senators can go to bridge the gap.
If it's a good idea, if it's common sense, let's do it. Doesn't care if it's Republican or Democrat.
That mentality led Republican Senator Zach Duckworth to the Civility Caucus.
I wasn't quite sure what to expect, other than I knew I was going to be going into a room full of people that were interested in working together to just get stuff done.
It's really understanding people as human beings, giving them the benefit of the doubt, giving them better communication tools.
Katie Pratt is the director of the state's Office of Collaboration and Dispute Resolution, which oversees the Civility Caucus. She says the caucus's time commitment is small, but for senators who come, and Minnesota as a whole, the benefits are huge.
They're really busy, but they still need to eat. So we'll have some luncheons every session. Sometimes we'll bring in a speaker that would be of interest to their work. There was an opening event. We just had them all go around and introduce themselves and share a fun fact about them. And it was so cool to see there were different connections that people were identifying. Oh, I had no idea you came from there. I came from there too, and we both like this sort of thing. So they take those relationships and they bring them into their committee hearings, and they bring them into when they're trying to figure out a bill. And so knowing each other better as people and having that understanding is really a foundation for making better policy together.
Building the foundation of a solid relationship across the aisle really does help you be and appear more effective, and you get more work done.
But senators have to want to join the caucus, and that buy-in is especially important now.
Some legislators in Minnesota have only ever served in a trifecta circumstance, and so this might be some new learning, and they'll be looking for new tools and resources for how they get through this session.
The end of last session was not good. Speaking as somebody who's all about civility and working together and being very friendly with folks across the aisle, I think it's going to be tougher to start out session. Some rebuilding of relationships has to happen.
As co-chair of the Civility Caucus, Senator Duckworth is in position to help make that happen, along with his DFL co-chair, Senator Grant Hochschild.
It's really about making the connections that are beyond politics, but about the personal relationships that we as legislators should have in order to perhaps move into policy making in the future. So it's not about finding bipartisan policy agreements, but it is about laying the groundwork for those opportunities should they come up in the future.
Civility, empathy, and a little bravery.
In the polarized climate we live in right now, constituents may want you to be a fighter. I think it's a balance. I think it takes a certain amount of courage for anyone to engage in civil discourse, but probably especially legislators.
The Civility Caucus isn't only for the Senate. The House has representation and membership there as well.
Want to know where your senator stands on certain issues? Reach out to them. All you have to do is visit senate.mn/members. The website will list your senator's email address and their office's phone number.
Another way to track your senator's work is through the Senate's journal. I spoke with the team behind the journal about what goes into creating the document and how you can use it to guide your voting decisions.
It's pretty clear early on when you start working in an office like this, or really any of the nonpartisan offices here, that It demands flexibility and adaptability.
In a place where red pens edit documents daily and grammar rules are strictly adhered to, flexibility and adaptability may not be the first words you think of. Another word Matt Hansen would use to describe his work: rewarding.
It's very challenging and difficult, but at the end of the day, I think getting to contribute to the ongoings of the government of the state you call home is one of the best jobs out there.
Hansen is one half of the talented team of two that runs the Senate's journaling office, which produces journals every day the Senate is in session, and a compilation of those daily journals once the session ends.
We wait word for word, every comma, every period, everything that is entered in the journal gets read. We check for any grammatical errors, any spellings, punctuation, we check all of that. In last session, the biennium of 23-24, we had the highest volume. We had 19 volumes, which is record-breaking. We had over 20,000 pages that we read.
But Linda Jackson, the director of journal production, says it's the daily journals that keep them up at night, literally.
I'm building a journal as session occurs, as it's happening. Once they adjourn, say if it's a late night, 3 a.m., we're the last office, so we stay at least an hour and a half to 2 hours after to get the journals kind of ready to be published and made available.
It's just one of those things where the work has to get done, and at the end of the day, the buck stops with us. We're the only two people in the office, so if we don't do it or we want to go home, it does not get completed. So, that responsibility, I think, keeps us going.
It's important to keep track of legislation as it occurred. We show every vote record, every amendment that was introduced, roll calls, confirmation reports, letters that we get from the governor, all of that gets recorded in the journal. The journal is not a word-for-word transcript, but more of what is done rather than what was said. We have all that information before proceeding. Everything that happened is available to the public.
And having easy access to a record of senators' votes might just make yours a little easier next time around.
For the average Minnesotan citizen, I think that the journal's best use is probably in looking up your senator's votes. If your senator's up for re-election, you can go back to any bill that might have been important to you, whether it passed or failed. You can see what they voted. You can see if they proposed amendments, what those amendments were in writing. And if you want to, you can trace the amendments and the bills themselves back through the committee process using the journal. So I think it's a great way to check your senator's vote history, see if they align with your beliefs and if they are deserving of your vote or not.
So here in the journaling office, where legislation and literature meet, you can also find a busy production of political printing, an archive of achievements, and a past and present to be proud of.
We take pride in the work that we do and knowing that we're part of history making. We have a part of the record keeping of what took place.
The work that we do here matters. Even if the average person on the streets in Minnesota has no idea that we exist or that this office does the work that it does have history and it has purpose and merit, and I think it's really cool to be able to contribute to that, especially knowing that this office has been here since the late 1800s. So this work has continued to be done by generation after generation of people. So I'm just happy to kind of be a part of that.
If you'd like to be notified when new journals appear online, sign up for the Journaling Office's listserv on our website at senate.mn/subscription.
When it comes to government spending, a lot of us have questions. Questions like how and where were my tax dollars used? Tracking down the data to understand the entire budget can be time-consuming and frustrating. Unless, of course, you have access to a one-stop shop of government spending. And luckily for you, you do.
Dozens of summaries, graphs, and charts across hundreds of pages, working together to do just one thing.
Tell the people what happened.
Fiscal analyst Krista Boyd says the fiscal review is as simple as that.
It's like a one-stop shop of government spending.
The award-winning document, published by the nonpartisan Senate Council Research and Fiscal Analysis Office, plays an important role in government transparency, accountability, and accessibility.
It puts together the enacted budget, and it tries to do it in a nonpartisan manner. It shows the whole budget and it divides it up into different budget areas.
I think it can be extremely hard for the public and even members and even people who work here to access data that they need for a specific thing about the budget or what was spent or what was considered. It's really the only place that sums up everything that was done that year in the budget. everything that was enacted that affects the state budget.
For example, if you want to know how much money was appropriated for ambulance service provider programs last session, turn to page 64. If you're curious as to how much money was set aside for the Department of Education's school unemployment aid, you can find that on page 39.
I believe this information is helpful because it's nice to see where we've been and why we've done it, and keep that in mind for where we're going.
And speaking of where we're going, the fiscal review is heading towards greater accessibility.
Currently, the document is structured to be a printed document. It is posted online as a PDF. We are looking ahead to the future, to what the future of the document might look like, and making it more of a web-based document, interactive, that people can click on different parts of it and not just have to pull up the whole document.
So that you can easily access the information you need to ask the right questions and make the right decisions for you, your loved ones, and your tax dollars.
If you're interested in reading the fiscal review, you can find it on our website. That's senate.mn. It's on the Senate Council Research and Fiscal Analysis page under Publications. You can find fiscal reviews dating back to 1997 there. This year marks the review's 50th anniversary, so if you want to access documents going all the way back to 1975, you can find those on the Legislative Reference Library's website.
Before it's all said and done and those line items show up in the budget, they show up in the Senate as bills. So if there's a bill this session that you'd like to keep an eye on, we can help you track it. Just head to our Minnesota State Legislature website, that's leg.mn.gov. Under the Bill Search and Status heading, click the link for My Bills. Once you've created your free account, you can track Senate bills via their topic or number. The page will show you any recent action taken on the bill, such as floor votes or engrossments, as well as upcoming actions like new hearings. But you have to log in to see the updates.
A bipartisan bill that made it through the legislative process last session is already seeing results. More of Minnesota's first responders are staying on the job, thanks to Senator Eric Pratt's bill, Senate File 901. The bill helps first responders process the trauma they see at work, though it's not your typical talk therapy. In fact, you could say it's a horse of a different color.
Figueroa was fast, strong, and successful. Until he wasn't.
He raced all over the country and he got injured. He's tried many different second careers. Jumping, did some amazing physical careers, and then he got really injured. And so he has had to go through identity changes and shifts, put on a different uniform.
Sally Mixon says now Figueroa has a new perspective, a new uniform, and a new job, saving lives.
His true identity is who he is, and he's had to learn that. And our first responders have to learn that. Their true identity is not that uniform.
Figueroa is one of a handful of retired racehorses helping Minnesota first responders process their trauma. First responders like Angela Casey.
I had a very traumatic call about 4 years ago, and it was one of those things where I was like, I'm good, I'm fine. And after a few months when it wasn't solving itself, and I could see that it was taking a toll on my mental health, and I wasn't being the best mom that I could be, I wasn't being the best wife I could be, I wasn't being the best cop that I could be, that's when I reached out and said, you know what, I think I need help, I think I need to try something, anything.
What she found was Abijah's on the backside, an approach to therapy that gets first responders out of their heads and into the arena.
It's not talking about maybe the reasons why you're anxious or, like normal talk therapy. It's about seeing the way that you're feeling in these animals and then being able to work it out in that way.
For a law enforcement officer struggling with anxiety, instead of talking about anxiety, there's a few things that happen. They're going to talk about this character out here that might be representing anxiety. It might be running, it might be pacing. It takes their anxiety and it puts it out there. We're touching things, we're smelling things, we're walking through things that can represent, we're hearing things that can represent a lot of parts of their story. It's a full body experience versus just thinking. There adds a little bit of humor to it as well, that really kind of takes down some walls and some barriers for them, which we have found to be significant.
And one day during a session, Sally and myself started talking about faith. And you know, when I'm struggling with anxiety, where does my faith come into place? At the time, I only used faith when I needed it. My faith needed to be a bigger character. And as I said that, Finn moved right into the middle of the arena and just looked at me. And he became my faith horse. If I'm struggling with my faith, or if I feel like I need more faith, I think about Finn.
Experiences like these have kept Casey coming back to Abijah's and on the job. And her success story isn't a surprise in these stables. Out of the more than 130 first responders Abijah's has served, Mixon says all but 4 have remained on active duty.
We have officers that have shared they probably would have retired or quit a year ago, and they're still doing it, and they're finding their passion again.
But this program wouldn't be here without help from a different herd.
We in the legislature are very numbers driven, and we want to fund programs that are successful, and you can't argue with the success of this program. When you look at the science behind it, when you look at the people that are providing it, and more importantly, when you hear the testimonials of those that have been helped and the miracles in their lives that have been performed, it's how can you not be supportive? One of the stories that moved me was there was a first responder, and she was in her first therapy session. The horse came up to her and laid down, and she burst into tears because she had contemplated suicide the night before, and she felt like the horse was playing that out for her. Now she's back on the job. She's there as a mother and a wife and a daughter. The fact that we can keep them in these roles, we can keep them providing for their families, we can keep them serving their communities, I think it's a wonderful benefit for the entire state.
Senator Eric Pratt authored Senate File 901, which funded the program. After that, he needed allies of his own to get it across the finish line.
I looked specifically for co-authors that were interested in mental health or that had that first responder background. So Senator Howe, Senator Seeberger, and Senator Hoffman met that threshold, and quite honestly, they helped me advocate for the bill. Supporting our first responders is not a partisan issue. In committee and in all the stops that it made, it had a tremendous amount of support.
To have his support and to kind of be the wind in our sails, we would not be here. We just wouldn't, and there would be hundreds of first responders that wouldn't have got this kind of help without their support. So, I mean, a thank you doesn't do it justice.
And for those still in need of support,
do your research, come out and see what's happening. Talk to the people that have gone through the experience, and it's life-changing.
A healthy horse requires a healthy herd, which is like people. You're not alone. You have a herd. You have people that get you. We're part of your herd.
Hard calls don't stop coming, so it's always nice to have Abijah's be that steady rock in my life. This is such a family here, and it's cool that my family includes someone like Sally and someone like Dina, along with all of these horses that have helped me so much.
there's a herd and a horse just waiting to help.
The program is open to peace officers, volunteer and full-time firefighters, ambulance service personnel, 911 telecommunicators, and correctional officers. In every committee, you'll of course see senators, but there's another committee fixture you'll only find if you know where to look. They aren't flashy or flamboyant. They're out of sight, but not out of mind. It's hard to catch Minnesota's Senate pages on camera, but
we couldn't do the work we do without them.
the page's work is visible and vital.
Members and staff really take away a deep appreciation for the work that they're here to do and all the work that they actually do for the committee.
I honestly don't think there's a whole lot that you can compare it to, just because I think being a page is a super unique experience.
Kylan Johnson was a committee page last session and says his duties allowed him to see a new side of the political process.
I got to hear from members of the public and lobbyists testify and share their story on a lot of different cool bills. So, and hearing their stories was really interesting. It was really cool just to hear from them and see how their comments and stories, like, it did influence the members' decisions. A lot of it was helping organize for the committee meetings, so organizing members' packets with the agenda and other materials that will be discussed about that day, and essentially just making sure the committee functions smoothly. You're not the focus of the meeting, but you are still in the room to the legislative process, which is super cool.
We've all learned about, the government in our classes in high school and college, but this is really the behind-the-scenes look at how that all happens. You have an insider view, and so I think all the pages really come out of this with an in-depth understanding of how the legislative process works and different ways that you can be involved and make changes if that's what you wish to do.
Jessica Tupper has been involved with the PAGE program for 15 years and says the skills the pages pick up here help them down the line, whether they go into politics or not.
Each day is different. You're going to have a ton of information thrown at you. Strong customer service skills are really helpful. You're working with anywhere from elected officials all the way to members of the public in your job, and so being able to deal with different people, different personalities, and different situations is really a strong skill. You're here to make those connections. You may decide, hey, I don't want to work for the legislature, but you might find this a really cool job in a nonprofit or an agency or a law firm that you never knew existed, and now you've built that relationship and you're able to get your foot through the door.
It's a strategy that worked for Johnson, who now has a permanent position in the Senate's Information Office.
The title is Public Information Officer, and my understanding it's a kind of a customer service role, so members of the public can call into our office and ask any questions about the Senate or who their specific member is. The PAGE position was also nonpartisan, so finding another nonpartisan role was really important to me. I care a little bit more about the process.
So if you're curious about government or are looking for something new, Johnson says take a page out of his book.
It's an amazing experience. It really helped lead me to the position I'm in today, so I would say apply.
To become a Senate committee page, all you need is a high school degree or some work experience. Anyone from high school graduates to retirees are invited to apply. The program runs the length of the legislative session, about 5 months, and during that time, the pages put in 40 hours a week. If you're interested in becoming a page, you'll have to wait until fall to submit your application. You can find the application on our Minnesota Senate Careers page. You can also sign up for employment opportunities email updates, so you're notified when new opportunities, like applying for the PAGE program, become available.
The PAGE program isn't the only way you can join us here at the Capitol. The Senate also has an internship program. You can choose to work with a member of the DFL or Republican caucus, or you can work with both sides of the aisle as a nonpartisan intern.
I'm currently working on updating the processes and financial reports from 1997 to 2017. So currently they're all on paper, and there's 100 to 200 pages per folder, and that's really overwhelming.
Underneath piles of paper and dozens of documents, Teresa Hernandez found a mission.
A document can get lost, a document can get spilled on, whereas if it's online, there's going to be some trace of it permanently, which is valuable. And so my job is to update that all in one Word document and Excel spreadsheet. So making it one folder, easy to access, anyone can access it, and then making that a lot more accessible just to people everywhere.
Giving the public more access and insight into the political process. After all, she is interning in the people's house. And for Hernandez, that means all people, regardless of their political persuasion.
A lot of times we're driven apart by political differences that aren't even that important at the end of the day. And I think the ability to kind of come together and work together is really valuable. And so when I was interested in applying to the Minnesota Senate, I was particularly interested in positions where I could kind of hone my skills on working with both sides of the political aisle.
So instead of choosing a side, she chose a seat in the nonpartisan Senate Council Research and Fiscal Analysis Office.
When we think about policies and politics, we typically think about working for a specific political party, and I think there's a lot of value into getting to see the more nonpartisan side of it. My job as an intern is to support the financial analysts in this office. However, some of the tasks I've taken on include, working with senators and creating bills. I had the ability to work with both Republicans and Democrats and work with them all in like a cohesive manner, make everyone kind of work better together, which was really important.
Important for the process and for progress here in the Senate and beyond. Because while her internship has ended, Hernandez says she's taking what she's learned with her.
I'm going to miss working in this building. At the same time, I'm really excited to kind of take the skills I've learned here and bring them on to the future careers, future colleges I attend. I think, again, even within these 5 months, I've learned a lot and I've gained a lot of knowledge. I really loved every minute of it.
If you're interested in learning what it's like to be a partisan intern, that means working directly with the Senate's DFL or Republican members. You can find interviews with those interns on our YouTube channel. That's at MN Senate Media. You can also head to our website for more information on the internship program and details on how to apply.
To stay up to date on what's happening in and around the Senate, follow us on our social media channels. Our Facebook and Instagram accounts feature stories and pictures from the week. And our Senate Media YouTube channel covers the Senate's committee meetings, floor sessions, and press conferences, so you can stream them live or watch them later.
The Capitol isn't just a place where laws are made. It's also an art gallery where masterpieces from the past and more modern installations work to inspire visitors and senators alike.
After more than 10 years of dedication,
I actually have started drawing since I was about 4 years old.
Mira Joseph's art was showcased in the Capitol's North Corridor.
I've always admired the Capitol for like gorgeous art. So to have a piece of mine displayed in a place or I've always associated with art, it's honestly a wonderful feeling.
It really is a story of art.
Bronze busts and painted portraits. From the ceilings to underground halls, art covers the Capitol's walls. State Capitol site manager Brian Peace says that's by design.
In the 1890s, 1900s, there weren't a lot of public art galleries. So this was a place of culture. So you could come and see, of course, your elected officials working. You would also be seeing fabulous works of art by some of the best public artists in the United States at that time. That was an attraction for people to come here to see these big 30-foot murals or big paintings of the Civil War.
There was also the hope that life might imitate art.
This was a building that was supposed to influence people to do good government. So you come here as an elected official, you see these paintings that talk about freedom and justice and courage, and you have virtues that talk about honesty and truth. And so these are things that you want your elected officials to carry through in their everyday proceedings.
And now even more artists can share their experiences with legislators and visitors. Thanks to recent renovations here at the Capitol, it now has a free and dedicated public art gallery where Minnesota artists tell Minnesota stories. And the North Corridor can be booked for up to 2 weeks by smaller exhibits.
I think it's very important to have something like this here at the Capitol. Just the thought of those souls being creative, trying to tell a story, trying to learn new skills, trying to say something to the world. It's incredible. It reminds you of what's real, what's true.
You see a little bit of everything, and that's what makes this Capitol pretty special.
As for Mira, today, the Capitol. Tomorrow,
I want to tell more story through my art. If it's inspiring people in the Capitol here today, then I want it to reach even more. I want it to tell an even bigger story.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.